Tappei has just released Arc 7 Chapter 11, and this will be a summary for it. I highly recommend you check my summary for Arc 7 Chapter 10 before watching this video. Anyways, let's get started. So the first thing to mention is that I use Deep L to read the chapters, and at the end of the last chapter it wasn't mentioned, but if you check the Google translation version, you see that the masked man actually talks about something called the blood life ritual, so that's something we need to know for this chapter. The chapter starts with the questioning of what the blood life ceremony is. This is something that the masked man mentioned last chapter, right at the end, and this was the thing that the young girl was fetching the chieftain for. It's apparently a practice which the people of Shudrak cannot overlook. Abel didn't fully answer the question, which was posed by Subaru asking what the blood life ceremony was, and since the young girl wasn't present, the time for their secret talks were actually limited between Abel and Subaru, so Subaru was trying to get as much information in as short of a time as possible. Abel interrogates Subaru on his wounds. Subaru explains that his wounds came from the camp and that he was required to do chores. Abel works out that Rem was the reason behind Subaru's broken fingers. Abel wants to know the layout of the camp, but he's interrupted. The chieftain is here. It seems that the young girl is called Uta Kata, but of course wait for a proper translation for that. The chieftain is shocked that the people outside of the Shudrak tribe know what the blood life ceremony is. Abel goes to town, stating that if something is shared between two people or more, information will leak. This idea that the Shudrak people are monolithic in nature isn't true. Furthermore, Abel knows about the history of the ritual also. Subaru was the only one unaware of what was going on, and he asked for an actual explanation since he may be involved. We get an explanation that the blood life ritual is a coming of age ritual, where a person of the Shudrak tribe becomes an adult. However, Abel and Subaru were of course not Shudrakians, so why would it apply to them? But the gist of it is that if you've passed the blood life ritual, then the people of Shudrak would see you as an equal rather than as a child. Subaru of course wants to take this ritual, and the Shudrak people choose the trial of the greatest difficulty. Abel and Subaru talk, and they are then escorted to take the trial. Both of them can take it together. Abel and Subaru weren't blindfolded or bound up. They were escorted alongside the people of Shudrak. However, Subaru was weak, so he kept stumbling, but a girl with yellow dyed hair kept catching him as he fell, and Subaru apologized, but the girl was fine since she was strong. Subaru grew to like this girl because she was gentle, although she was holding a bone with meat on it, and she asked if Subaru was hungry, but Subaru was fine, so she just chowed down on the meat herself. Due to the discussion of the ritual, it seemed as if Subaru's position had reset, essentially restoring his past mistakes, so even if they failed the ritual, it wouldn't have a detrimental effect at negotiations. Abel talks to Subaru about running away and how now they have a chance to escape and actually get away. Subaru states that he couldn't do it. Looking at the surrounding area, the jungle was dense and you couldn't see a few meters ahead before the trees and vines blocked your view. Plus Subaru wouldn't know how to get back to Rem, and what would actually happen to Abel if Subaru ran away. Subaru voiced his concerns about what would happen to Abel if he ran away, and Abel actually took this negatively, calling Subaru a weak hero. They had reached their destination and Subaru was pushed down a steep slope, and he and Abel made it to the bottom, the ritual ground. A package fell beside Abel and Subaru. According to Abel, it was his belongings and Subaru's garbage. So in other words, it was the guilty whip, Abel's knife, which he took, and Abel's cloak, which he put on. Whilst this was happening, they were pestered to continue by the Shudrak people. Rumbling was heard. They were in an area like a valley with cliffs on either side, which was 20 meters wide. Abel pulled out a demon sealing ring and threw it to Subaru. Apparently, if you kiss it, it will spew out fire. Subaru was confused, but he puts on the ring anyway. As Abel pulls out his sword and runs forward, Subaru does the same. They encounter the beast they have to fight, a large green snake, the same one as before. Apparently, according to Abel, it's called a Elgina. The words El meaning big and Gina meaning snake, so big snake essentially. Now, of course, Subaru was pondering this and thinking whether or not it was actually shudrakian culture to call it Elgina, but he can worry about that later. Subaru was distracted, calling out to Beatrice, and Abel shouted at him as the snake lunged. Earth shattered and Subaru was blown off his feet. Abel came to the rescue and told Subaru to hold his breath as he wrapped his cloak around Subaru and they turned invisible. Subaru and Abel then share some banter as they then go to prep a second time. Subaru says that Abel's sword skills are really bad and Abel criticizes Subaru's arm strength. Again, Subaru asks how to use the ring and Abel tells him to kiss it. We also see that the ritual is different each time you attempt it. Either way, Subaru and Abel rally their resolve. Abel devises a plan. They need to use bait to defeat the snake. Abel needs to attack the soft spot of the scales to deal damage. Subaru should use the ring to spew out flames, distract the snake, and Abel will gank the snake. Subaru kissed the ring and chanted Goa and pointed it at the snake who was emerging from a smoke screen. Apparently snakes have an organ which can detect heat. This snake also had this organ. This hindered the snake, so think of it as a super effective attack from Pokemon. Abel ganked the snake, stabbing it with a shallow cut. Subaru smacked the snake with another fireball to de-aggro the snake from Abel, but Subaru realized they had no chance of winning. Subaru spammed the Goa, missing the snake as he complained to the chieftain that this was unfair. Subaru looked at the shudrak people. All of them, including the gentle girl, lacked facial expressions. They were holding their bows, ready to strike Subaru if he ran. Abel explained that there was no escape. Subaru and Abel strategized again. Maybe attacking the snake's brain or eyes was the thing to do. No, the solution was to break the horn. Subaru says that he would distract the snake and the suspicious man will attack. Abel responds that he's a noble masked man, not a suspicious masked man. The snake attacks Subaru, but Subaru was raising his hand with the ring on it and the snake dodges. But it was a bluff. Subaru uses his whip on his non-dominant hand to latch onto a tree branch above and he dodges. Some of the shudrak people want to shoot Subaru since he's escaping the valley, but the chieftain disagrees. Subaru flips through the valley and sets fire to the surrounding trees. The snake tries to follow Subaru up the cliff, but Subaru blows the cliff face off, knocking the snake back down below where it's surrounded by flames. The snake, which used heat to detect people, was confused and Abel dropped down from the cliff, attacking the horn and half cutting the horn, but the resulting attack, he was blown away by the snake. Abel rolled on the ground, coughing up blood, and the snake went to swallow him. Subaru shouted that he could return by death. The world covered in shadows as he heard a word say, "I love you." Subaru responded back with sarcasm as colors returned to the world. This took the snake's attention and Subaru used his whip to swing from a branch to the snake. Placing his leg in the snake's mouth and using Goa on the horn, Subaru was actually blasted backwards. Covered in gastric juices, Subaru's right side was hot and Subaru was losing consciousness. Subaru couldn't feel anything. He was dying. Someone ran to him, asking him what he should do with Rem. This voice stated that they had passed the trial and should be seen as warriors now. The snake was dead. Subaru was losing consciousness, but the voice appealed to him. "What do you want, Subaru? State your wishes. If you don't tell us, we can't help." This person then spoke about Pig's laziness. Subaru closed his eyes and thought to himself. He saw a vision of all of his friends. A girl with silver hair, a girl with pink hair, a girl with blonde hair, and so on. In his vision, he was happy. He saw Rem there as well, a girl with blue hair. Subaru shouted that he needed Rem to be saved. The person talking to Subaru relayed his intentions to the shudrak people. Since they were now brethren, they should help each other. This was Subaru's wish for Rem to be saved. As Subaru's consciousness faded, he heard a final sentence stated by someone. "You've done your duty, leave the woman to me." As this was stated, everything faded away, and the chapter ends here. So this was an interesting chapter. The situation has turned on itself. Again, there's more evidence that Subaru is, of course, with Vincent Valaquia, the Emperor of Valaquia. So let's see how it goes. Now Rem should hopefully be saved. and we'll see where it goes from here. There's nothing much I can really say, but let's see where it goes. Thank you to my channel members, Lewis Stewart, Zayalid, Alternative Xenia 15, Miss Mimu, Is Your Boy 69, Nutregs, OMW, Blue Portal, Brah Moment, and Worst Ness.